Hello everyone and welcome to Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast number 21. Yes, we've finally come of age. In this week's show, feedback, controversy and everyone's favourite potato heads, the Sontarans.
Come here, you scrumptious little beauty. A box?
Doctor, what is it?
I've got mail.
Thanks to all of you who left feedback on last week's 6th Doctor Colin Baker podcast. And we start that feedback with Daniel Ryder, who said this. I have a lot of love for Colin Baker as the Doctor and as a person. I think he's my favourite Doctor, although that may stem from his being the only Doctor I've personally met. I'm reading Look Who's Talking now and about to start his collection of short stories. Smart, kind, compassionate, opinionated. He's a bit like his Doctor after the crazy effects of his regeneration wore off. Thanks for that, Daniel. Graham Pearson Hall said, Colin Baker has always been in my top 5 Doctors. His era was full of problems, but none were his fault. Never a truer word spoken there, Graham. Will Reeves wrote this. I did notice, starting with his first appearance, and the only episode I've seen Sixie in, Baker is very intelligent. Six's vocabulary changed from the previous incarnations, and I don't think 8 to 11 ever matched this level. That's a really cool observation, Graham, and one that hadn't really struck me until you'd mentioned it, but in hindsight, yep, very true. James Morrell says this, such an underrated Doctor. I feel like I'm the only one who understands the 6th Doctor. I really wanted him to go on for 8 years, to be honest. Again, thanks for your feedback, James. Baker is, of course, famously quoted as saying that he wanted to be in the part for longer than Tom Baker, and again, in hindsight, I would love to have seen that. But at least through Big Finish we're all getting to hear that. Thank you for your feedback and please keep it coming, either on the post here or you can message me at Theta Sigma's Doctor Who page or email me at respectthething@outlook.com. That's respectthething@outlook.com. The Sontarans are a race of humanoids with a stocky build, brown skin and a distinctive dome-shaped head. In addition, they only have 3 digits on each hand. Their special muscles are designed for load-bearing rather than leverage because of the significant amount of gravity on their home planet. Ross Jenkins in the Sontaran stratagem describes a Sontaran as resembling a talking baked potato, but the Doctor responds by saying to them that he probably looks like a pink weasel. Sontarans come from a large, dense planet named Sontar in the southern spiral arm of the galaxy, which has a very strong gravitational field, which then explains their compact, stocky form. They're also far stronger than humans, and in the recent series are shorter than the average human male. Sontarans have an extremely militaristic culture. Every aspect of their society is geared towards warfare, and every experience is viewed in terms of its martial relevance. In the Sontaran experiment, the 4th Doctor comments that Sontarans never do anything without a military reason. In fact, to die heroically in battle is their ultimate goal. Aside from a ritualistic chant in the Sontaran stratagem and Poison Sky stories, they never seem to engage in any activity that would be considered recreation. Although according to their creator Robert Holmes, Sontarans do have a highly developed artistic culture, but have put it on hold for the duration of the war. And the opening chapter of the novelisation of The Time Warrior does refer to Lynx listening to the Sontaran anthem while his spaceship is in flight. The Sontarans depicted in the series The Invasion of Time have detached, smug personalities and a highly developed sense of honour. On multiple occasions, the Doctor has used his knowledge of their pride in their species to manipulate them. However, in the Sontaran stratagem, the Doctor nevertheless referred to them as the finest soldiers in the galaxy. Although physically formidable, the Sontarans' weak spot is the probic vent at the back of their neck, through which they draw nutrition, and is also part of their cloning process. It also gives incentive to continue moving forward in battle, since retreat would expose the probic vent to their enemies. They have been killed by targeting that location with a knife in The Invasion of Time, a screwdriver in the Shakedown, The Return of the Sontarans, and an arrow in The Time Warrior. Even something as simple as a squash ball aimed at that point in the Sontaran stratagem, or contact by the heel of a shoe in The Last Sontaran, is capable of incapacitating them temporarily. They are also vulnerable to choronic acid in the two Doctors. While the Sontarans wear protective helmets in battle, to fight without their helmets or to be open-skinned is seen as an honour for the Sontaran. In the episode The Poison Sky, it's revealed that the Sontaran Empire have been at war with the Rutan host for more than 50,000 years. A war which, at the time of the events of The Poison Sky, they're losing. However, that war is still raging at least 20,000 years later in the episodes The Sontaran Experiment. All the Sontarans depicted in the television series have monosyllabic names, many beginning with an initial st sound. For example, Styre, Stor, Stike, Stahl, Stark and Strax. The exceptions to this rule are Lynx in The Time Warrior, Val in The Two Doctors, Jask in The End of Time and Karg in The Sarah Jane Adventures. Subdivisions of the Sontaran military structure mentioned in the series include the Sontaran G3 Military Assessment Survey and the Grand Strategic Council, the 9th Sontaran Battle Group, the 5th Army Space Fleet of the Sontaran Army Space Corps, and the 10th Sontaran Battle Fleet. Military titles have included Commander, Group Marshal, Field Major and General. Additions to these military titles include the Undefeated, the Bloodbringer, the Avenger and the Slayer. The newly married Martha Smith-Jones and Mickey Smith are seen being chased by a Sontaran sniper in the last 10th Doctor serial The End of Time Part 2, for unknown reasons. The Doctor, on the verge of a regeneration, knocks it out via a mallet to the probic vent. A Sontaran also appeared in A Good Man Goes to War, but as an ally of the 11th Doctor. Commander Strax, the Sontaran in question, was condemned to work as a battlefield nurse, a punishment implied to have been meted out by the Doctor, to restore the honour of his cloned stock. Strax expressed irritation at the task of the Battle of Zarutha in the 41st century, after helping to heal an injured human boy, claiming that this was the greatest punishment a Sontaran can endure, to help the weak and sick. Seeing it as a means to settle his debt with the Doctor, Strax became disillusioned with the glory of death in combat after being wounded while fighting the Headless Monks at the Battle of Demon's Run, and he firmly corrected fellow nurse Rory Williams when the Doctor's companion called him a warrior, telling him, "I'm a nurse." The Sontarans reproduce by means of cloning, and thus for the most part are extremely similar in appearance. Human characters in both the Sontaran Experiment and the Sontaran Stratagem comment on how closely individual Sontarans resemble each other. However, it should be noted that their height, skin tone, facial features, vocal sounds, accent, hair, spacing of teeth and even number of fingers have varied from story to story and sometimes within stories. When Luke Rattigan asks how they can tell each other apart in the Sontaran Stratagem, General Stahl remarks that they say the same of humans. In The Time Warrior, Lynx states that at the Sontaran Military Academy we have hatchings of 1,000,000 cadets at each muster parade. The Doctor also comments in The Invasion of Time that Sontarans can mass clone themselves at rates of up to 1,000,000 embryos every 4 minutes. Thereafter the clones take just 10 minutes to grow to adulthood. When the Sontarans reach adulthood, under the charge of Sontaran High Command, each warrior is immediately given a rank and dispatched on a battle mission. In the Sontaran Stratagem, the Sontarans are seen to create human clones by growing them in tubs of green fluid. Enemy of the Bane confirms that Sontarans are cloned in the same way. In a human clone, the umbilical cord corresponds to the probic vent on the back of a Sontaran's neck, suggesting that the vent is not unlike the human navel, although clearly more complex. The 10th Sontaran battle fleet in the Sontaran Stratagem and the Poison Sky consists of a command ship and a number of capsules that can be moved into position when battle status is enjoined. Sontaran ships are impervious to nuclear missiles. In both classic and new series, Sontarans are depicted using spherical or semi-spherical occupant spacecraft known as capsules. Each capsule is small enough to avoid detection by radar and piloted by an individual Sontaran. The Sontaran Stratagem also saw the introduction of a large mothership, from which the small Sontaran capsules could be seen to originate. The Doctor notes that one ship by itself is enough to completely wipe out the Earth. The Sontarans have a variety of weapons. Their trademark weapon is a small rod with two handles and a plunger at one end, giving it a syringe style. This is so it can be held and fired using 3 fingers. This weapon is called a swagger stick. It fires a disabling beam that can temporarily render a person useless and emits an emergency pulse that can repair systems like a teleport. The swagger stick has appeared in every Sontaran story except the Sontaran experiment. When first used by Commander Lynx in the Time Warrior, it shows the ability to fire a beam which can disarm by knocking the weapon out of the wielder's hand, hypnotise, as well as cutting through wood and killing. In the Sontaran experiment, Field Major Steyer instead used a small red laser pistol which only killed. In the Invasion of Time, we saw Commander Storr using the small rod again, but also in Episode 6, a Sontaran trooper uses a short black rifle-like laser to try and burn through a lock on a door on the inside of the TARDIS. The 2 Doctors introduced a weapon called the Meeson gun, as named in the Jim will Fix-It sketch affixed with the Sontarans. A large silver rifle with a red fuel tank in the centre, which was used by Group Marshal Stike and Varl in the 3rd episode. Group Marshal Stike was also seen carrying a baton. It would not be until the Sontaran stratagem that General Stahl would show the baton can fire an orange beam that can stun a target. In the Poison Sky, Commander Score and his troops carry large laser rifles into battle. These rifles are the Sontaran gun of the 10th Sontaran battle fleet. Each rifle has a laser beam that kills instantly and is designed for a 3-fingered grip. In the Invasion of Time, their armour is shown to be resistant to Time Lord Stasers and K9's blaster. However, their armour is vulnerable to standard human firearms in the Poison Sky, and the Sontarans in that episode use a Cordelane signal, which caused the copper-lined bullets to expand, jamming almost instantly. Unit troops, however, overcame this by switching to steel-lined bullets. Sarah Jane Adventure's story, The Last Sontaran, showed further technological advancements of the modern Sontarans. Commander Karg, a surviving pilot from the 10th Sontaran battle fleet, had slightly different armour due to being held in the Special Forces. His suit featured no gloves, so his bare hands were visible, and on his left arm was a control panel for his suit and ship. His helmet could fold up and retract, and both his suit and his ship featured cloaking devices turning them both invisible. While soldiers of the 10th Fleet were armed with large laser rifles, Karg has a smaller laser carbine. Rather than hypnotising humans, Karg fixed neutral control devices to the back of their necks. A red light then flashes when it's operational, and Karg can activate and deactivate them as he wishes with his control panel.
This is too easy. They're running like slime bait from a spiel fox.
And that's all we have time for this week. Once again, thank you for listening, and for your feedback following last week's episode. As always, you can contact me on Theta Sigma's Doctor Who page, or by leaving your comments on this post, or by email at respectthething@outlook.com. In the next episode, whenever and wherever that may be, we take a look at the 4th Doctor companion, Leela. So until then...
Well, goodbye, my boy. You did quite well. Quite well. It's reassuring to know that my future is in safe hands.
Thank you for listening to Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast. Doctor Who and its associated shows are all copyright and property of the BBC, and no infringement is intended.